I love that, just the feeling of giving back and knowing that what you do is making a difference in someone's life. Just kind of got there and fell in love with the administrator and the environment. And I'm like, man, this is where I'm supposed to be. I did that and kind of quickly got my first building and just have loved every minute of it.
That's awesome.
I can't imagine doing anything different. Even though we are small, we're able to leave a really large footprint on our industry because we can do things a little bit different. We can talk through how to be better each and every day. At Cascade, we have something called ABK, and it's called Always Be Kind. Right.
Running a nursing home is easier when you focus on the good things.
We're caregivers 24/7, 365.
It's hard to move from just being average to being really great without making hitting some little speed bumps. I'm impacted more than I impact. I feel like every single day I get far more than I give. They make me better.
Welcome to Our Purpose Podcast, a podcast where stories from skilled nursing and long-term care come to life. I am your host, Kip Kruger, a voice shaped by industry experience and a belief that everyone has a purpose and their story is worth telling. It's good to be here today.
It's a great day. It is a great day at THCA.
Day two. CEO, principal. I work there, so I should be able to pronounce it correctly. James Dieter.
Great to be here. Great to have you here.
Good to see you. And then CEO, the light of our world, Chris Light.
Thank you.
Great. Glad to see you.
I'll just jump into it. We're going to introduce, thank you for being here, Marjorie Dorrow, the President and Chief Operating Officer of Cascade Health Services. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. You have a big meeting coming up.
I do. House of Delegates at 2:30.
So tell us what's going on with it.
Oh, I feel like you just set me up there. What if we have the podcast and I don't win?
We're having good vibes. This is good.
Okay,
good vibes.
You're gonna win.
So I am running for the board of Texas Healthcare Association.
Fantastic.
And, the meeting starts in just a few minutes, and I think 4 out of 7 end up winning a seat.
Perfect. Well, good luck.
Yes, thank you.
We hope you do well.
First time running for the board?
Yes.
Good. What's your involvement in THC been like?
Man, I started coming to the association meetings when I was just a kid. I think it's been close to 20 years. So this is the 75th anniversary of the convention, and it was really kind of cool. They had a slideshow that was just kind of running through a whole bunch of videos from years past.
I saw that.
Yeah, it was kind of fun to just remember the faces and the names and some of the good times. A few of them, and I looked like I was 12. I was like,
blast from the past.
That's me. Y'all look, I used to be young.
When did you start your career in long-term care?
I'm straight out of college. I have a degree in social work and kind of ended up in long-term care by default and just fell in love with it and have never left.
Where are you from? Where'd you go to school?
I grew up in a small town just north of Waco called West Texas, and I attended Texas A&M Central Texas in Killeen. So never really left that Central Texas area until about 15 years ago when I moved to Boerne, just outside of San Antonio.
Yeah. That's where they make the kolaches, huh?
Yes, West.
West. Yeah. You got to stop for some kolaches in West.
West, Texas.
Yes.
West, Texas.
It's hard to beat a good kolache.
They have the best.
And the ones in West are so different than what you get at just about any other place.
They're more like a Danish, aren't they?
Well, kind of, but it's different.
Tell me.
Well, I don't know how to describe it, but they're homemade. The bread is so delicious. It's like 1,000 calories per bite.
For sure.
Sounds
but
amazing.
they have these giant cinnamon rolls, and kind of my favorite is a cream cheese kolache. And it's like bread with a little bit of cream cheese in the center of it.
Do you heat it up?
They serve it too warm.
Yeah. Have to. That's the gas station, like on the right-hand side.
Check stop. Yeah.
Check stop. It's awesome. Good.
Yeah.
Check stop.
That's what it's called.
It's like the best stop in Louisiana
Pretty much.
for all of your boudin. That's where you go in Louisiana on I-10.
That's where you go to get your
Very cool.
kolaches. Yeah.
All right. So
But it's 35, not I-10.
You mentioned you were in social work. I thought you started as administrator, so I read wrong. But I guess, what was your thoughts of you chose social work in college? So I'm just a simple business degree because I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. So how did you choose that? And then kind of what was the path beyond that? You started at Sava.
So I don't think anybody wakes up one day and says, man, I want to work in nursing homes. That sounds so exciting. That's what I want to be when I grow up. So kind of my entire life, I thought I wanted to be a school teacher. And I have a younger sister. And so I had these little lesson plans and I would make her do homework. And we would have
She must have loved you.
Oh, yes. She does now, but it was not fun. And so I just was determined that that was my career path all along, and started college and took a psychology class because it was required. And I just fell in love with abnormal psychology and just kind of shifted over into social work. And I'm not really sure why. It was just a last minute decision. And, you know, I love that, just the feeling of giving back and knowing that what you do is making a difference in someone's life. And so I had planned to attend graduate school, but I finished my bachelor's degree a little early. And so I had like a 6-month period where I needed to get a job. Mm-hmm. So I started applying online and ended up going to an interview at a nursing home thinking, I'll never do this. This is not for me. But I needed the experience of an interview. So I'm like, I'm going to do it. Like, I don't want this job. It's okay if I fail. It's just the experience.
You're guaranteed to get this job.
When you go into that.
Yeah. So I show up and I'm like, this is a scary place. Like, I have no experience with the elderly, really no experience with nursing homes, and just kind of got there and fell in love with the administrator and the environment. And I'm like, man, this is where I'm supposed to be. I was like, I could get through this for 6 months, right? And here I am 25 years later.
That is so cool.
I feel like I can draw
love it.
a handful of parallels. You mentioned you wanted to be a teacher. My mom's a 3rd grade teacher. I feel like just when you go into a building and you see it's a tough job, like being in patient care in nursing homes. Well, really any patient care. But I think like I have an 8 and a 5-year-old also. And I'm like, being a 3rd grade teacher is also a really tough job that I couldn't do. And so it's interesting. I've never thought about that until you mentioned you want to do that. It's like you could just tell like you have that in you, like to care for people. You were doing it. Like that's super interesting. I never really thought about that before.
Yeah, that's incredible.
When you were a social worker, how long did you do the social worker duties?
Really not all that long. It was the worst job I ever had, honestly. Like the things they make the social worker do, you have the worst conversations in the building. Yep. You deal with all of the behaviors and interventions and discharges and roommate arguments. And it wasn't really a lot of fun, but I loved all of the other sides to it, like the morning meeting, the clinical aspect of it. I thought I was going to be a math teacher. So I really was kind of drawn to the numbers and the business side of it. So I worked in a building for about 2 years and became a regional social worker. And that was a lot of fun. I got to go to 15 different nursing homes and just kind of a different building every day, and really got to see the different leadership styles and what worked and honestly what didn't work in some buildings. And so it just kind of drew me toward pursuing my administrator's license. And so I did that and kind of quickly got my first building, and just have loved every minute of it. I can't imagine doing anything different.
Once let's fast forward to where you are today. What's kind of the best part of your job at this point? Is it you talked about enjoying the numbers? Are you more on the business side, or you still like spend time with the residents? What's that look like?
Yeah. I think my job right now, I get to do so much of both, because Cascade is a small company. We have 2 facilities, so I'm in one or the other. Absolutely. The powerhouse. Yeah. So I'm in one or the other building just about every day. So I get to touch so many different levels of that. Enough time with the residents, enough time with the family members, a lot of teaching and training, which I think I was drawn to as a child, just really wanting to be able to help someone understand their job a little better or their role a little better. So, it's such an exciting profession because it can be so diverse. Yeah. You can kind of decide how you spend your day in a lot of ways. There are tugging priorities and a lot of things that pull your attention in different directions. But on those days that are a little calmer, you do get exposure to the things that you really do love, the things that you're passionate about.
Let's I'll ask you a little bit of a harder question. So tactically, what do you feel like you do to bring value to your buildings, your residents, your staff? What are one or two things that you feel like you do really well that you can share with the folks who are listening that they can benefit from hearing and add value to their buildings?
So we are a small operator. So it's my business partner, Ron Haney. We're both nursing home administrators and both kind of came up through the ranks. We had jobs in the facility before we became administrators. So it gives us a unique perspective. I think whenever we're talking about how to do something different, a lot of times the team members respect the experience that we have and they understand that we can relate to them at different levels of the organization. And being so small, we don't have a lot of layers of middle management. If we need to change a process or if a charge nurse comes to us and says, hey, this form is really dumb, we want to do it different, why can't we do it like that? Yeah. You know, our board meeting is the two of us sitting down saying, why can't we? Let's look at the regulation. Let's look at the requirements. Does it make sense? So I think even though we are small, we're able to leave a really large footprint on our industry because we can do things a little bit different. We can talk through how to be better each and every day.
Speaking about footprint inside the industry, you all just awarded one of your DONs the DON of the Year award from THCA.
Yes, and last year her administrator was Administrator of the Year.
No way.
So
That's
they
really
are
cool.
Such a fantastic team.
How long have they been a team?
Kirsten, the DON of the Year, she celebrates her 3-year anniversary with us today or this month. And Patrice has been with us 5 years.
You're going to want to hang on to them.
Yeah, forever.
Well,
we had them sign contracts in blood on them. We kind of knew they were something special. And, you know, and when you have good leadership in the facility, the rest of it just kind of comes naturally. The staff are drawn to them. They have so much fun in the building, but they also work incredibly hard. They do these Friday dance parties where they just turn on the music and the residents are all in the lobby and they just dance it out. And it's so fun.
That's awesome.
So even when we're having our annual survey and we have stayed in the facility, they're still like, hey, it's Friday, it's dance party time. Let's go. The music goes on and they just have something special there.
That's cool. And so what tactical things are you doing to like empower them to do that? Like what gives them the ability to be like, hey, I can do a dance party on Friday. Well, tell me about that.
So we focus a lot on our culture. Yeah. And so hospitality is extremely important to us. Kirsten and Patrice really embraced that from the beginning. And when we say it's pretty easy to be nice to each other, it really isn't. It is something extremely difficult. So each of them kind of separately, I think, come by that naturally. Yeah. And so whenever you have two great leaders that come together with that same cultural mindset, you don't have to tell them, go have a dance party. They look for ways to make it fun and to make sure that all of the team members approach situations with that same mindset. So at Cascade, we have something called ABK, and it's called Always Be Kind. And so whenever you sit in a tiny little board meeting with your business partner, the two of us, and you come up with great ideas, you know, sometimes it can be overly complicated. You don't need a mission statement that's 4 paragraphs long and hard to memorize. And, you know, ours is ABK, always be kind. And the two of them have managed to turn that into a verb. So what they do every single day falls back on ABK. So if they see somebody maybe not getting along with their coworker, they're like, hey, that's not ABK. We don't act like that.
It's such a safe way to say that too.
Yeah.
It's not attacking. That's really cool.
It's not. And I think people respond well to that and it helps them do a little bit of self-reflecting. I
love that.
ABK. Always be kind. I think that's so important because as an administrator, when I ran a building, I refer back to that as like we had our team member meetings every month and we'd make t-shirts and we'd put some stuff on it. And I would always put like love one another or just the general like golden rule, like be kind to one another, like love one another. And I think when you focus on that, and you focus on those important things, then everything else becomes easier.
I think you're right.
Running a nursing home is easier when you focus on the good things.
You should maybe think about coming back to the dark side. I saw your face kind of light up there.
Yeah, these guys got me locked down though.
Yeah, he signed in blood and then more. So, no, it's interesting you say that, and I think we forget sometimes that we're in an industry that never turns off. Right? Yeah. There's so many people out there that work a role that at the end of the day they can turn off their phone, they can walk away. And we're caregivers 24/7, 365. And with that being said, there's a lot of burnout. There's a lot of stress and anxiety that goes along with it. I'm curious what you do and how you empower your teams to not burn out.
What we do every day is so heavy, and it is difficult because, as an administrator, Kip, even when you're on vacation, you're still tied to that building. It doesn't matter. You can't ever really disconnect. So I think you have to remind yourself pretty consistently why we do what we do. And whenever you're able to come to an association meeting and see your people in a tiny rural facility win an award that, is as prestigious as what Patrice and Kirsten have done, it just gives you a lot of satisfaction knowing that all of the hard work and the dedication that they pour into it, the hours that they spend worrying about a self-report or a serious situation, even a really good day when everybody shows up to work and, nobody calls off and there's not COVID in the building and there's no self-reports, just the perfect day.
Like 5 days a week.
Right?
It's 7. Even those days are really, really hard. That everyone comes to work bringing their best every single day. And that's hard. Yeah. But you can't show up and not be at your best because of the job and the demands that it requires of you. So we spend a lot of time just talking about how to get re-excited.
Why would you do it without a purpose? Right?
You can't.
You can't. Yeah. You will go somewhere else very fast without a purpose. I believe that.
You mentioned hospitality, and I'm just curious I think it's awesome. I mean, the team you have is doing some very cool things with dance parties and things of that nature, but I'm just curious if you personally suffer from this disease that I suffer from, which is anywhere you go, you look, how do I make my business better? And so do you draw inspiration from the hospitality side? I mean, we talk a lot about clinical stuff and clinical outcomes on here, a lot of industry stuff, but from just a general hospitality, taking care of people, they're your family now. Do you draw inspiration from anywhere?
We do. We've spent a lot of time talking about, do y'all know who Danny Myers is?
Setting the Table, of course.
Yes. So that's... Ron, my business partner, read Setting the Table, and I think he is Danny Myers' biggest fan.
I'm second if he's number one.
Okay. Maybe y'all tie. I don't know. So reading the book, Setting the Table, I think both of us just got really excited and giddy about it. And so we have sent Patrice and a couple of other leaders. Ron and I also attended Union Square Hospitality Group leadership training in New York. And so Texas is kind of known for Southern hospitality. Yep. And in the beginning, I was like, why are we going to send people to New York to learn about hospitality? But they're doing something really special. And they spend a lot of time talking about how to create an environment that feels a little bit different when you walk into it. Yeah. And so whenever you walk into our 2 nursing homes, we want it to feel a little different. And we want to connect with you on a personal level. We want to find common interests and let you know that we care about you, whether you're an employee, a resident, a family member, a vendor. We want you to feel a little something different. And, that's a big task. And when we first decided this is what we're going to do and how we're going to be different, we had a team of administrators that we really liked a lot. And we said, hey, read this book, go to this training, act this way, do this, and you're going to be great. And they're like, no, that doesn't work for me. And so we kind of created some unnecessary turnover so that we had people that maybe fit the mold that we were trying to build a little differently. And it's been exciting to watch. It can get a little scary. You're like, they aren't a bad administrator, but couldn't we be a little bit better? Mm-hmm. And you have to have a team that embraces that. They have to go on the journey with you, or you just kind of stay down there at average. Yeah. And I'm really excited for Patrice and Kirsten, and they embraced it from day one, and look at the rewards that have paid off.
Yeah.
So they have some really awesome attributes.
They do.
What things do you look for? What can we tell the audience? Like, hey, if you're an administrator, you're a DON, like try to do these things really, really well. What would they be?
The two of them are so different. There's not a lot of overlap in their personalities or how they approach a situation. They just balance each other out really nicely. So I guess it's kind of like a marriage. My husband is completely different. He's the polar opposite of me, but it works.
Yeah.
And I think Patrice and Kirsten are much like that. They both approach things so differently. So I don't know that it's one skill set.
Sure.
I think it's really more about that relationship and how you get along and how you balance each other out. Because the things that I'm really great at, I don't necessarily need my director of nursing to be great at. I need her to be great at completely different things. Yeah. And so the two of them do that really, really well. But, kind of the interesting thing, whenever we first interviewed Patrice, we were in the middle of COVID. COVID had kind of just started. And so we meet her and she's wearing a mask. We don't really even know what she looks like. But what we could tell from the get-go is that she just had this smile that would light up a room.
Yeah, she does.
And you could see that through the mask. And so we're like, man, she's really something special. And then a couple of years later, we meet Kirsten and we're doing an interview with her, and we're still in mask season. And I'm like, kind of want the mask to come off to see what we're dealing with here. But, you take that leap of faith, and, you never know about someone when you do a 30-minute or hour-long interview and you call everybody you know and ask them questions, but you still don't know how they're going to fit within your organization, the culture you're trying to build. So it's a gamble.
Sure.
And I think they have learned together and have grown together into something truly special. And I hope they stay together forever with us. But it's been an honor to work with both of them.
That's awesome. Yeah. I find hiring to be the single hardest thing to do in leadership, because exactly what you just said, you have someone who's effectively putting their best foot forward, trying to hide anything that may or may not be not conducive to your organization. That's not bad, but maybe not on the same cultural path that you're on, or some things that maybe you disagree with. I would just be curious on your hiring, like just in general philosophy, or how you guys think you do it well. Maybe something that I could learn personally.
I don't know that we do it really well. I assure you, Chris, I don't think we have any secrets to it. Mm-hmm. We just spend a lot of time talking about the importance of transparency and, making sure that the most trouble you're ever going to get in is when your team is not honest with you about the situation you're dealing with. Yep. So we spend a lot of time up front talking about the importance of, we don't ever need you to lie to us. We need the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And we can all figure out how to move forward together when we're all on the same page about what actually happened. And I think that's made a big difference for us, just being upfront about the type of culture we want to build and the expectations that come with, what we need to know and how we need to approach things. And it's okay if you mess up. We all do. We're human. But don't hide it from us.
I think that gives some freedom to both the administrator and the DON in a really difficult situation that they do as running a nursing home. That gives them the freedom to, like, hey, I know, like, you may mess up, but if you mess up, like, just let's be honest about it. Let's talk about it, and not just a more aggressive approach where it's like, I can't tell anybody I'm messing up, right? And so that's awesome that you give them the ability to do so, and that freedom.
Well, and I think just the type of industry that we're in, I think we all probably started our career feeling that way.
Yeah.
We have so much responsibility, and there's so many things that can go wrong. And if something bad happens in the building, it's all my fault. So I can't tell my boss that I messed up and this bad thing happened. So we maybe don't know how honest or transparent to be. And we just want to remove all of that and know that we're on your team. We're on the same page as you, and we want to get through it together.
One of the ways we could do that as leadership is admit to our own mistakes, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes doing that, you give people permission. That's what I mentioned earlier. It sounds like you guys are doing a good job with that.
Well, we mess up so much, Ron and I, so we're constantly like, okay, let's talk about what we did and how to fix it.
We talk a lot about just trust and vulnerability in our organization, and we try to tie that back. And we say, listen, if we're vulnerable about our missteps, and then we say we really want to trust both ways here, and we're going to provide you this, then the expectation then is that if you make a mistake, you're going to come to us and we're going to fix it together. We'll work through it. And I talk a lot about, I don't like it when people make the same mistakes twice or three times, but like I actually believe in innovation and us moving forward. And to do that well, you're actually going to we actually encourage one mistake. We don't never encourage two, but we really need one mistake in order to move forward. Because if we're really trying to do something different with our organization, it's going to be very challenging to do that and not make some mistakes along the way.
Yeah, it's hard to move from just being average to being really great without making hitting some little speed bumps along the way. So that's great.
I can speak to that precisely. I think making mistakes. I feel like
I might need to edit this part out.
I'm
3 strikes and you're out.
We made a mistake, and then but from that mistake, I made many mistakes in life, but I can talk on mistakes. Like when you make a mistake, there's an opportunity for growth. Mm-hmm. There's an opportunity to learn. There's opportunity to become better. And so, although we don't want to admit our mistakes, like I feel like I'm comfortable in admitting some of those mistakes because it's given me the ability to grow into a person that I wasn't a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And then you can specifically have those moments where you're like, I messed up. I was vulnerable. I was honest. This is what happened. And now I've grown from that, and see how far you've grown in that year or that time frame. If you don't, then that's a completely different story. Right. But,
I think there's some of the biggest breakthroughs is like, if you are willing to be kind of honest with yourself, and like when stuff like that happens, it has happened to all of us.
Right.
All of us. Yeah.
And so we get the choice of how we deal with it. But yeah, for me personally, I think it's like some of the biggest breakthroughs of like major mistakes you've made is like, all right, that's not going to happen again.
Yep.
And so we get that choice.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's good.
I have a question. Again, I'm self-serving here, so I hope you're okay with that.
We'll see. Did you get this question?
It's on the list. Yeah, there's a lot of no.
There's nothing on the list. It's a blank piece
People
of
are
paper.
listening, not watching. I'm catching flack for this list. So in our organization, like we deal with a lot of like field technicians. So there's phlebotomy and X-ray technicians or technologists. And so one of the things that we focus on, I'm gonna parallel this to like CNAs and your nursing, your front end staff, but is the amount of decisions that have independent decisions, is what I would say, right? Of like that you have to make that it seems fairly simple, and then you actually go do a ride along, or you're like, wow, that was like 150 decisions, and like one of them goes wrong and we irritate someone, right? We've now made a mistake. And so a big focus from us, just like from a strategy standpoint, is like, how do we reduce the number of decisions you have to make? Not so that you're a robot, but so that you can focus on, we want you to be really good with the patient bedside, right? And things of that nature. And so I'm imagining there are just as many or more that you guys are dealing with. And so how do you all think about that from like a corporate strategy standpoint when you're kind of working on things of that, like that?
So our certified nurse aides really probably have the majority of interaction with our family members. So you take a certified nurse aide who's making $16, $18, $20 an hour throughout the state. They have very little education and the education to become a certified nurse aide. So that training course is mostly, it's kind of focused on how you do a transfer safely, how you assist someone with a shower, the do's and the don'ts of the regulation. Yeah. And there's very little time that is spent focusing on how to interact with a family member. Right. Very little interaction in our education toward teaching them how to de-escalate a situation. Yeah. Or how to deal with someone who comes in and they just have questions about how mom is doing or how dad is doing or the changes that they're seeing. And we found ourselves repairing a lot of those interactions later on. The administrator gets involved or the charge nurse gets involved. And it taught us that we really need to start talking to our staff about how to have those interactions at every level, whether you're the housekeeper or the laundry aide or, the director of nursing for that matter, how you should have those interactions when families are present or residents are present and they have questions or concerns, or you feel like things maybe just aren't going as well as they could. And so we kind of coined this term. We stole it from the Ritz-Carlton, but immediate pacification. What can I do at any level of the organization to solve the immediate problem?
Yes.
How can I take responsibility for it and fix it? If Mrs. Smith is upset because we've lost socks, why can't I go to the laundry and look for the socks?
Sure.
So we've kind of challenged ourselves at every level of the organization to be responsible for owning that complaint, resolving that complaint or question or whatever it may be. So we do a lot of certified nurse aide training programs in our building. So we incorporated a little, like a little section on the softer skills.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So we talk a lot about how to de-escalate, how to approach those harder conversations. Because if you caught me when I was 17 or 18 and you come in and you're yelling and you're like, why is mom wet? I probably wouldn't know how to respond to that.
Yep.
So it's a 50-50 chance on what you're going to get. But if we start talking through how to handle that, you don't have to be yelled at. You're right. But you don't have to tell that family, don't yell at me. Go get your charge nurse and say, I'm so sorry. Let me get the nurse or let me get the administrator. But I think just having those conversations, because the staff truly don't know. They want to please. They want to do a good job. They don't wake up each day saying, how can I show up to work and disappoint someone? Let's give them the skills that they need to do a better job.
Is this a formal training that takes place prior to their start, or is this on-the-job training? What does this look like?
We incorporated the softer skills piece into the certified nurse aide training program.
That's
so
huge.
if you come to us and you're not certified and you have an interest in becoming a CNA, that's part of your training. And so we've kind of grown that program a little bit over the years, and most of them are held at Patrice and Kirsten's facility. And they've kind of turned it into like a little college class. They have desks set up and they get folders and notebooks, and the instructor is like the professor. And so they show up and they have more formal education. Yeah. And so we've added 3 days to that required training so that they're talking through the things that are more difficult and the things that aren't built into the curriculum. So I think we've seen better retention with it. And then we have a much more equipped person that's entering the profession.
And I'm sure I would assume, and I know those 3 days, those 3 extra days you spend turns so much improvement or like so much return back to the facility. Because what that does is that also that formal training, those 3 days, it goes a little bit deeper than that. Like, it removes the blame game. So whenever a family comes up to a residence, like, why are they wet? Well, the initial reaction is like, it's the last shift. It's shift 2. It's shift 3. And then instead of taking responsibility for it, it just starts becoming just a snowball effect. And then once you blame someone, then everyone, just the culture, the turmoil in the building seems to increase. And so having that immediate Immediate
pacification.
That's awesome. Like, it completely removes the blame from removes the blame, and it removes like any tension that may cause.
And this is such like a ding, 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 ding. Yeah. I mean, so you have award-winning DON and administrator in a building that are performing this training program, which helps with retention of staff, which directly tied to cost, which is the number one expense in a building. I mean, you want to talk about just from the business standpoint to the culture. I mean, this is such a big piece. And it really parlays into something that actually you brought up maybe 10 years ago. You taught me, you were mentoring, I think you still mentor this kind
Jamorian.
Jamorian, yeah. And he was getting a lot of fights at school. you could tell the story a lot better than I could.
Oh,
but I just remember like 10 years ago, you tell me the story, but he would go and like somebody would come to him and then Jamorian would fight back and he'd go to the principal's office or get it suspended. And Chris would be like, well, did it help? Like, did it help? Like, if you fight back and you get in trouble, does that help you? And that's like just this reframing. With so many people feel like if somebody comes at them inappropriately, that they're justified in responding inappropriately. But
it's like, do you want to be right or get it right is really what it is, right? Like you can be right. The premise was you can be right and you'll be in jail. You being right, you'll fail out of high school, but you'll be right because you got in a fight because you were defending yourself and yada, yada, yada. Same thing. But anyway, I think we are running on time, but I still have one more question before you wrap us.
Sure.
Do you guys have a Dreamweaver?
A what?
A Dreamweaver from the book?
Oh, no. I was like, what are we talking about? Is that like a dream catcher or what?
I don't know what this is.
Have you read the book?
No.
It's a phenomenal book, dude.
To.
Like, it's amazing. I want to eat at that restaurant so bad.
Have you read Unreasonable Hospitality?
Yes, of course.
I've read that one,
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, Dreamweaver is from Unreasonable Hospitality, Not Setting the Table. Both great books. But I want to eat it at that restaurant. It's in New York. It's like the best restaurant in the world.
Is it?
It's a 3-star Michelin. That's what the book is based on. It's
Gramercy Tavern.
Yeah,
and Union Square Cafe and
7 Madison Avenue. Oh,
yes,
you know the name.
I've read it years ago. Yeah.
7, something like that. Anyway. But yeah, so the idea is the premise is they have a Dreamweaver and they go out of their way to do very unique things. It doesn't have to be expensive, but very unique things for the guest who they know in advance are coming. So like, it's just very cool. It's touching.
Yeah, if it's a birthday or an anniversary, like they own the responsibility of it. If I'm your waiter or waitress and you didn't tell me that it was your anniversary, but I overhear y'all saying that next week you're celebrating your 50th, that person would go and get a gift from the restaurant to say, hey, this is from us.
Yeah.
And so it's just the unexpected small things.
Yep.
And in a nursing home, if you mess up mom's care, she doesn't care if you give her a free piece of cheesecake. Like, it's mom. It's, it's so much more difficult to take those examples and relate them to healthcare. But so much of it is just applicable whenever it comes to connecting and building that relationship and letting folks at every level know that you truly care about them as a person, regardless of their role.
Yeah. I think having an impact in someone's life brings you great joy. That brings it's like your purpose. I just saw you get emotional over the story that he just told, and I thought that was super touching. I'm not gonna. I have to. We'll wrap this up, but I really want to talk about that. Yeah. That was so cool to see how emotional you got over that situation, over his story, because of the impact that you had in that young man's life. Like, that's your purpose, and that is so cool to see you have that sense of emotion based on the interactions that you have with him. So that's awesome.
Chris, maybe you should think about long-term care at Minister School, and you could join the Cascade family.
Are y'all hiring?
Whoa! Hold on.
We don't have any openings. Calm down, James.
We always talk about purpose, and that's where I was going with it. Is like, it's our podcast is titled "Our Purpose," specifically because we want to tell stories. We believe that your stories have purpose, and you have a purpose in your life, and the day-to-day interactions that you have with the administrators, the DONs, the CNAs, like housekeepers, social workers, everybody. Tell us, kind of wrap us up. Tell us what your purpose is and how you impact lives on a daily basis.
Honestly, that's such a tough question, but I feel like my life is impacted more from what I do than I'm impacted more than I impact. I feel like every single day I get far more than I give. They make me better. And so it's exciting to show up. It's hard to turn away from an industry where you learn and you grow so much from people at every level.
Right.
And so I keep showing up, and they keep giving me a paycheck. So I'm going to do it for a little longer.
I love it.
Well, congratulations. Yes. DON of the Year recipient. Going to be excited to talk to her next. Good luck, House of Delegates.
Thank you.
Luck.
In like
Thank you.
8 minutes.
Yeah, you gotta go.
You're going to make me late.
We'll get you out of there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
Thank
sitting
you.
down and talking to us. It was wonderful talking to you.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you for including me.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here.
Appreciate it. Thank you all guys for listening to Our Purpose Podcast. Marjorie Dorrow, she is amazing. That was fantastic. Thanks for sitting down with us today.
Thank you.
See you. Thanks, Press.